Hi, friend. Ashley here. Welcome to the Unlock Your Dream podcast. I'm here to guide you along your journey to unlocking your dreams to achieve the best life that you can imagine possible. From my journey in medicine as a PA and then some in the corporate world, I always still desired a little bit more out of life. It wasn't until I met some people who had seen their dreams realized that it occurred to me that maybe, just maybe, mine could come true too. Come along with me as we get to know some of these friends of mine and hear their stories of unlocking their dreams. Hi, friend. Welcome back this week to the Unlock Your Dream podcast. This week, I have a really good friend of mine, Sydney Harvey, that is a doula here in Charleston. So, just a little bit about her and her philosophy. She believes a mother needs to be supported, protected, and cared for herself so that she's free to enter that new role as a mother. And again, just love that philosophy to start out with, having just gone through delivering a baby last year. But Sydney's strength and what she sees in moms is that strength, innate wisdom, and feeling empowered, really, as she witnesses childbirth to remain all the way through the journey of motherhood, really. Sydney's a certified doula, and she strives to help parents create expectations about their unique birth experience and making sure that they feel educated, confident, grounded, and excited about their upcoming birth. We'll dive into her story, but she has a passion for birth work through her own pregnancies. And I'm going to let her kind of dive us in on that with where you became a doula. Because when I met Sydney, she was a dental hygienist. So a little bit of a pivot. So, Sydney, welcome to the podcast. And I'm so excited to hear your story.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here as well.
Awesome. So, just to dive right in, tell us a little bit about your passion for birth work and just how it became a part of your life through your own pregnancies.
Yeah, so I feel like that is exactly where my passion for birth work started. I have a 7-year-old little boy and a 4-year-old little girl. And with my 7-year-old pregnancy, I just really fell in love with everything birth. I delved into all of the information that I could. I read every book that I could. I was taking prenatal yoga with a friend who was actually becoming a doula as well. I had no idea what a doula was at that time. And so through that, I feel like just the seed was planted. I did not really think anything of it at that time, but looking back, I'm like, that is probably where it began. Um, I ended up with my first having a hospital birth. I went into it so confident, thinking that I knew everything birth and nothing was going to go a different way because I had educated myself so much. And I was very surprised that it actually did not go, the way that I thought it was going to. Women, when they are um, going through labor or pregnant in general are at their most vulnerable state. And I definitely felt that. And some things were offered to me that at the time I was like, okay, yes, okay, just do whatever. And looking back, I don't know that they were absolutely necessary. So, things were great. I've accepted how it happened, but it did definitely, again, bring back kind of full circle that seed of, wow, if I had had someone there to support me, or if I had maybe been in a different environment, how would this have looked? So I did. I kind of took the reins and changed things for my second birth with my daughter. I ended up being at the Charleston birthplace, which was an amazing environment. I surrounded myself with very supportive people. I had a very supportive midwife. And yeah, so that's kind of where things began, I guess I should say.
That's so good.
Yeah.
So, where did the pivot come from? Obviously, you had a whole background in school, and I know it's not a simple thing to become a dental hygienist. So, how did the pivot shift from day to day in clinic there to changing your mind to now full time doula work, which is so incredible?
Such a huge change. Yeah, so I was doing dental hygiene for about 19 years. And so
Wow. I didn't realize it was that long. That's awesome.
I know, I know. And I just kept finding that I kept getting back into this. Everywhere I worked, any different office I was at, it just became the same kind of toxic traits. Um,
Mm.
and it just didn't feel like it was serving me anymore. The main thing that was holding me back was the relationship that I built with the patients. That is the connection, the relationship. That was my why. That was what kept me going into work every day. But it just wasn't enough. I was coming home like physically exhausted, mentally exhausted, keeping it in all day, and then feeling like almost like a monster when I got home. Like I had to let it all out, which was very unfair to my family. And so I just had to, I have to say, COVID has its silver linings. I hear this with a lot of people. So during that time, it kind of provided me the space, some time to kind of reevaluate my goals and where I where I wanted to go with the future, what changes I really needed to make in order to be a good mom, be fair to myself, be fair to my husband. And so again, I kind of got back to this whole birth journey. I again started delving into the information. I don't really know what per se was like the one thing, but I started studying again, and I reached out to my friend who had become a doula as a yoga instructor, and asked her what course she took. And it was just it was a night I had put my daughter to bed, and I just jumped right on and bought the course. Very like I just did it. I was like, I'm doing this. Like I'm gonna do it. I bought it. I was like, if nothing else, at least I can learn, even if I don't actually end up becoming a doula. But yeah, from there, that I had mentioned it to my husband, um, to my family, to close friends that are very super supportive, and they were all like, "Sid, I could, yes, do it. Like you need, if that's what you want to do, I could totally see in this role. I feel like it definitely is you. I can't see anybody else. It just seems like who you are." And so that kind of gave me the confidence and to kind of keep going, like feeling that support from others. And so I did. Our office, was closed during COVID. When I went back, it was very different, with all of the PPE, with, everyone was scared. And it became that I just could not do it anymore, for myself and for my family. So I started, kind of connecting with other people. I joined the Professional Doulas of Charleston. That was a really good way to connect with other doulas and really see what was entailed. I still, at this point, really didn't know what a doula did, I have to say. I was still like educating myself, and knew about it, but I didn't really necessarily understand what a doula and supporting what I do. So yeah, I just started making connections. I started going to these meetings with other doulas, and yeah, from there, I just did it. I just decided I was going to do it. Talked to my husband. He's always super supportive, and which I'm so fortunate. But he's very supportive of anything that he knows that I really want to do. And he's like, "Well, then absolutely, I will be behind you 100%." And so I did it. It was a perfect point in my life too. My dad was needed had some medical things happen, and he needed someone kind of to step in and be his caretaker. And so it allowed me to stop a job that was from like 8 to 5, and have a lot more flexibility. And I was able to be there for him when he needed me while still trying to grow a business and, start a new path, a very, very new path. But I could take it very slowly. So everything just kind of, it just seemed like things were unfolding and happening in a very like serendipitous way. And that's when I was like, this is really what I was meant to do. I'm so glad that I took this leap of faith and stopped it. And there was no turning back. There's no way that I could go back to an 8 to 5 job.
Well, I hear you. There's so much good in there that I just love. I love that there's so much pattern here. I feel like we hear so many of our guests that just really go through. COVID really was a blessing, and it was such an eye-opening experience for so many people. But I love that you have support, first of all, because I know some people walk through an entrepreneurship journey solo. But I love that you were brave and you're like, I'm just going to do it. And sometimes I feel like it's just those things on a whim that you don't really think about. Like you said, just becomes such an interesting twist, a part of your story. And I agree. I think those of us with that entrepreneur spirit, like once you've had the taste of freedom and owning your time and owning your schedule, especially even as your why changed, originally your why was maybe for your family and for you, and then your dad needs you. And we realize as an adult that's like we're asking permission to spend time with our family. And, for those of us with that gene, it's just not okay. So good for you for being brave and just reevaluating kind of what truly is safe. And I love what you shared too. That was something else I was going to ask you about, just how did you train and invest in yourself? And so I'll definitely link that organization in the show notes. But something we talk about a lot on this podcast too is always be growing your network and how important your network is. And I love that you just dove in because, like you said, you went from W-2 to now, I'm assuming, at least a 1099, or at least owning your own business. And I don't know, is that part of the doula training that you've learned the business side of things as well?
A little bit. It's not a huge part, unfortunately. So that has been a huge learning curve. I can actually remember telling my parents and friends, like, I never want to be a boss. My own boss. I like having someone tell me what to do and I do those things. So to have this big growth for myself has been huge. And yes, it has taken a lot of learning. It's taken a lot of talking to other people, jumping on the internet and just Google searching how to do certain things. And sometimes it working and sometimes it not, and then figuring it out from there.
Is there the class that you took or the course that you decided to choose from? How did you decide on that one? Is there multiple ones out there? Any sort of accreditation or any that you would recommend if someone's like, hey, I really do love birth work and I think a doula might be a path I want to take?
Yeah, so for me, I kind of just went with the one that had been recommended to me from my friend who was doing it. It was called Tiny Love Doula. Highly recommend it. It was, of course, during COVID, so it was all online. So a lot of self-study, which was good for me at the time, especially having two kids, still in a career, still doing my 8 to 5 dental hygiene career. So trying to pack in all the studying and any free time I had, which usually looked, at once the kids were in bed,
Mm.
or thankfully dental hygienists or dental offices, a lot of are off on Fridays. So I had that opportunity to cram in a lot of study time. But yeah, it was really a great course. I do think I missed out on some of the hands-on experience. Um,
Sure.
but besides that, yeah, you learn that as you go anyway. I think you can, with something like birth, you can study as much as you want of the things, and obviously it is
Mm.
wildly uncontrollable and goes so many different ways. So I learn every single birth that I'm at, which is also a really cool thing.
That is really cool. And I've heard too from other friends that are doulas, it's like you think you know what you're going to need to do because you've been through our own experiences giving birth, but it's like every woman, like you said, is just different. So having the tools, like you said, just whatever's going to come up, it's like in your magical Mary Poppins bag and there you
Yes.
are. But also supporting the birth partner, which I think is such a, like you said, interesting thing that I never realized what a doula was until we dove into birth as well. And it's just such a gift, especially to help the birth partner, dad, or whoever it is. I mean, just to have a voice in that vulnerable space when it's chaotic, just like, remember you said you wanted this on your birth plan or your birth map. And just having the thing in the tool bag that, especially a first time mom, it's like, we don't really know what to bring to the birth center or the hospital or any of that. That's so good.
All of the things. And I love that. Again, I get that relation. I didn't even realize, going into it that I do. I get that part of that relationship, like building that connection, building that rapport that I loved so much about dental hygiene. But now I get to do that and do it along with something that I feel so super passionate about. And in the realm of being able to support other women, which again is something I feel very strongly about. So it's
I
cool.
love
And
that.
yes, supporting a birth partner, that's such a huge part of what I do. Allowing them to be present as opposed to making these really tough decisions, because it's hard to see the person that they love suffering, and we're human. We like to try to fix things, but obviously birth is not something that needs to be fixed. So being able to, support them through that too, make sure that they're educated, and providing them with different little tools so they can support, but also be present, um,
Mm.
for their partner or their wife or so it's great. Yes, it's a very beautiful team that becomes.
I love that. And then back to the business side of things. So now you're up and running, you have, your business rolling. How did you start to build and scale? Is it word of mouth? Do you take a couple of births for free? How does that work to build your clientele, I guess, for lack of a better term?
Oh, gosh, this was so foreign again to me and so wildly uncomfortable. I had no idea where to start, but I did. I started by just making connections, like reaching out to different people in the birth community, just kind of putting it out in the universe, as scary as
Mhm.
that felt, because that meant that this was real and this was happening. um, but I just did it. I just put it out in the universe. I let as many people and everyone that I knew, like, or let them know what I was doing and the change that I had made. I let my OB know, who has had some, I think, some very negative experiences with doulas, unfortunately. But she has been wonderful. She like fully put her trust into me and supported me and has referred me to a lot of her patients, which has been great. And I think she's had kind of a little change of heart herself with the doulas, which has felt really good to help that growth within um, the hospital community as well. But really, when I say uncomfy, I really feel like the social media was the hardest thing for me. It was something that was very foreign to me. Um, so I had to really, I didn't have an Instagram account. I was not on Facebook very much. So I wanted things to happen organically with finding my clients, but then I quickly had to realize that that wasn't necessarily how it was going to come. People weren't just going to come to me and know that I was a doula. So I did. I had to put a lot of energy into social media,
Mhm.
and that really did help. But it was very uncomfortable for a while.
I love this theme of just getting uncomfortable and getting comfortable in the uncomfortable for you. It's just really inspiring, whatever entrepreneurship journey anyone wants to take. Because, yeah, social media, I feel like it's become, it used to be, I feel like, where we posted like our food and whatever cute little selfie we had for the day. And now it truly is just a marketing mania thing that you can really scale on a big level. And we've had people on here before that they do social content creation for people. And, knowing, like you said, like, where's my skill set? Do you hire a business consultant? Do you hire someone to do your social media? Do you keep it authentically you? So many things to think about when you're scaling a business. It's incredible. What is it like, being on call? How do you manage being a mom and a wife and an entrepreneur now in something where it's kind of predictable, but a lot of it is, and I'm assuming very unpredictable. And you get the call or the text from the mom that's like, I might have that first cramps or so of labor.
Yes, it is. It is a lot of different things. It can be very predictable. And again, it's nice because I do have somewhat of control over um, my schedule. It has allowed me, it's given me a lot more time to be with my family and be with my kids. I can pick them up from school. I can take them to doctor's appointments. We go to the chiropractor a couple times a week, and I can take them to their sports events or just have time with them. That part is very nice. And then the part where being on call, that is really hard. But it has taken, again, I have a lot of support. My husband, for one, is super supportive. My neighbors, I feel like I really am part of a village here. I know we all need our village, and I have found mine here where I know that if for whatever reason I am not super prepared and don't have it all lined up because a mom goes into labor at 35 weeks, and I'm not ready, that I can call one of them and they will very quickly step in and help me out. My in-laws live in Somerville. They are wonderful and supportive as well. I think just always having someone around to take over my role as with the kids and things like that. So that part has been hard. As part as being a wife, it takes a lot of communication, talking about what our goals are and being able to change and grow together. We've Obviously, this has been a lot of change for him, for me, for my whole family. And so I think having that communication is huge. Um, and then, yeah, I feel like that's That's the main thing
That's
there.
so good. Yeah, community in the village. I love that. And like you said, communication is key, I think, in marriage, especially as being an entrepreneur. And maybe I feel like sometimes in an employee mindset, it's every day is kind of the same and you kind of are on this hamster wheel, in my opinion. But it's like when you change the game and your calendar doesn't necessarily look the same every day. I agree. Communication has been key as being a husband and wife team, because you really are, like you said, same team working in the same direction, even if the day-to-day parts of your goals look a little different, that's so cool.
I do have to
Um,
be reminded very often. I guess I was just thinking too. I think the hardest part about being a doula is being connected to my phone all of the time.
mhm.
Because obviously you are on call and you don't know when someone's going to need to be supported. So I think a lot of times I need that reminder from my husband or my family that I need to put my phone down and have boundaries, which
Yeah.
is very hard, especially owning your own business. You could work 24 hours a day and still have more to do. So I think, um, my husband has brought light to that about like really setting aside certain days to do certain things or setting aside certain time to really be present and be with my family. But that's a constant challenge. So trying to be present, but also be fully supportive too.
Yeah, no, I love that. I think too, no matter where you're taking your entrepreneurial journey, I think finding how to schedule your time to be efficient. And like you said, you can't necessarily turn it off. It's not like you're leaving the office for the night or whatever. So, really, block scheduling your calendar or whatever that looks like, but really taking ownership of your time and learning
Mhm.
how to be efficient. Put it in blocks, put your phone down. That's so good. Do you kind of on that front, do you only take a certain number of clients per month, or how they're due, or how do you know when you're capped out?
Yeah, so this has been, again, a big learning curve. I started out only taking two clients a month as I was starting to grow. Um, and then I quickly was like, oh, I can do three. Oh, I can do four. And I did one month, I took six, which was way
Wow.
too many. And I learned that the hard way. So just trying to find that balance. Like, yes, you cannot. Thankfully, it all worked out, and none of the moms came at the same time. But it was also very unfair to the family. It was very stressful, and it was myself. So, so yeah, trying to find that balance is good. I think it's three clients a month seems to be for me my happy medium, especially with young kids, with having a family. I think
Mhm.
maybe without younger kids or my kids are older, there might be a little room to add some more in there. But for this time in my life, three seems to be a good number. But it's
That's so
definitely
good.
taking some trial and error there to find that out.
Yes, and I think that's kind of the entrepreneurship roller coaster too. It's like there's always maybe another doula can take more, because you said there's different seasons, but maybe you can't take as many starting out. And I love that you were willing just to take action and figure out what works for you and for your family. And like you said, you're always flexible with what that looks like in the future. And that's just so cool. Your ideal client or dream client, are you mostly just serving Charleston, South Carolina? I know this gets listened to kind of all over the country. So right now you're just staying in Charleston for support.
Yes, absolutely. And just in Charleston, um, I like ideally, it's nice to have clients that are not super far away. I think Somerville, I do take moms who are in Somerville, but sometimes that can be hard. Maybe not so much for a first time mom, because as we know, typically those births are a little bit longer. So there's usually some time, but, sometimes it takes me about 40 minutes to get to
Wow.
a hospital. So that can sometimes look hard. But yes, Charleston, South Carolina on a whole, I like to just serve this area. So.
So good to know. And you'll do hospitals, birth centers, and home births. I saw that on your website. So I want to make that clear for anyone looking for a doula in Charleston. Hospital, birth center, home birth. Sydney's got you. I love that. And then I was just looking through, all your certifications, just for our friends out there who are pregnant, thinking about getting pregnant, have friends that are pregnant here in Charleston. So Sydney is CPR certified, infection control certified, birth and postpartum doula certified, which I do want to talk to you about the postpartum doula, because that was new for me when I was pregnant this time. VBAC certified and placenta specialist certified. So I'd love to hear from you a little bit about, I think people do think about, like you said, having a doula at their birth for support. But how does that play into the postpartum side of things? When I feel like a lot of times, you have your 6-week appointment, you're good to go, and you're kind of left alone as a mom. So I'd love to hear just how people can utilize you postpartum as well.
Yeah. This is, again, such a beautiful part of this relationship because we have built the, we built this relationship through pregnancy and through birth. And so being able to support these moms and continue that support during the postpartum period is beautiful. I like to do at least one postpartum visit after birth. And it's a really, really informal, I obviously come to the home. It's a good time to decompress about the birth, anything that's kind of still sitting with these moms or they're feeling a certain way, or just talk about it, have somebody to talk it through and have somebody that is listening to them. Um, that is a big part of it. And then any questions, especially with first time moms, whether it's questions with sleeping or breastfeeding or meals. I like to take a meal with me a lot of times and offer like a meal for them to have. But just, yes, all of those questions, like I'm there, a safe place for them to ask them. I am as supportive as people want during that postpartum period. Sometimes moms feel good and they will text a couple times for a month or so, and then they feel good and they feel confident, and that's a beautiful thing. Sometimes it's a little bit more, and they like me to come back for some more postpartum care, whether it be taking care of the baby so they can sleep, or helping with housework or laundry, or making meals, putting meals in the freezer for them. Again, if breastfeeding, offering any kind of breastfeeding support as well. So yes, all of the things, but it's very nice when it's kind of a continued relationship from that full like pregnancy and birth, and then being there for the postpartum time as well.
Oh, that's so good. That sounds
Yeah.
amazing. So, yeah, I mean, anyone who's catching this postpartum, you're not finished with your doula journey, I think that is incredibly beautiful. And
Yes.
then I saw recently too that you are placenta specialist certified. So, what does that look like for moms who maybe want to encapsulate their placenta? How can they utilize you in that space?
Yeah, this is a service that I offer for either my clients or even people who are not my clients. I was fortunate enough to have both of my placentas encapsulated and just really feel like I reaped the benefits that they provided. I feel like they really helped with my postpartum energy. They really helped with stabilize my mood. I never had any problems with my supply, with like my breast milk supply. So it just was something that I felt again passionate about, and I wanted to be able to offer this to other moms that were looking. I don't feel like there are a lot of people out there that offer this service. So that felt nice to be somebody that did offer it that was local. Um, so yeah, if I am your client, then, I'm already there. So that's really nice. I always have my cooler with me, and would just take that home with me. I like to get that back to these moms, the capsules back within 2 to 3 days, just because that's when they kind of have that big hit with their hormones. So I like to get them taking these capsules so that they can kind of help, um, level that out within that like 2 to 3 days. And so, yeah. And if, I'm not your client, it's again a service that I offer. Moms will just text me when they kind of feel like they're going to labor. And then usually their support person, whether that be their partner, husband, or if they have a doula, will text me after the birth of the placenta. And then I come and pick it up from their birthing place, whether that be the hospital or the birth center or their home. And then again, I again try to get that back to them within usually 2 to 3 days. And I deliver it to their doorstep and usually send them a little text on that, interfering with their sacred time with their families, and make sure that they got it. And then again, I'm there to offer support after that too. A lot of times questions come up, everybody's different, everyone's placenta is different, everyone kind of reacts different to these things. So my clients know that they can reach out to me at any time and ask questions and offer advice.
That's amazing. So, all your services, are they on your website if someone wants to figure out budget and pricing or the a la carte, put together the perfect package for their pregnancy? Is that the best place for them to find all that?
Yes, it definitely is. Yeah, like usually I know like for myself, I offer a lot of like childbirth education classes as well. So um, with being a doula, my service. I do offer like 2 prenatal visits where we do like a mini childbirth class. We talk about birth preferences, um, kind of formulate a birth plan, quote unquote. And then,
Mm-hmm.
but I do offer as well onto that like a breastfeeding basics course and, some more childbirth kind of comfort measures and things like that. But yeah, if moms decide they want to do that, that's just another service that they can kind of add on to.
Wow, that's incredible. It's so nice to have. I feel like Charleston is becoming such an incredible birth community, and it's really special to have you be a part of it. That's awesome. So just winding down on time, is there anything else that we missed that you want to share about your journey, about your services, about where people can find you, any of that good stuff?
Yeah, no, I'm just, we were talking, I know, a little bit before just about I'm excited for the growth that, just like you were saying, that Charleston is having right now. I think there really is a big shift with women or just, people in general wanting to kind of take charge of their own autonomy, like their own bodies, their own birth. They want to be educated. They want to make decisions and not have decisions made for them. So I think that has really, a lot of people are seeking doulas to kind of help through that process, which is really exciting. And there's a lot of postpartum support in Charleston, a lot of prenatal support. So it's an exciting time for the birth community here.
So good. Yeah, totally agree. So on Instagram, you are at Serenity Birth Wellness. And
Yes.
then what's your website is serenitybirthwellness.com.
Yep, that's it.
I will put all that in the show notes so you know where to find Sydney and all the resources that we talked about today in case doula maybe is in your, future. If you're in Charleston or live across the country, I'm sure there are great resources where you are to just continue to support women having birth. And it's such an incredible opportunity. Thank you for being on here, Sydney. It was such a gift to learn more about your story and just how brave you were. And I know so many people are going to be impacted by it. And for you, listener, be sure you follow along so you know as new episodes drop every week. Give us a rating and review for a chance to be featured at the beginning of an episode. And connect with Sydney. Let us know what you're learning. So maybe send this to your friends who are pregnant if you're thinking about getting pregnant. So many good things here for you this week, for you and your birth partner. So again, thank you, Sydney, so much for being here. It was such a gift to have you. And we'll see you guys next week on the Unlike Your Dream podcast.
Thank you for having
Okay, friend, that's it for this week. Thank you so much for spending time with me. Feel free to share this podcast with another friend who it may inspire. Leave a review to possibly be featured at the beginning of another episode, and subscribe so you don't miss out on any of the stories that could help unlock your dream for you.